welcome and happy Halloween. I'm John Hawk, the Chief Operations Officer for Nevada State High School, and I'm here at eConnect with Mr. Guido Arias. He's the Chief Financial Officer for the organization here, which is an institution or company that prides itself on fraud and prevention of fraud for hospitality and gaming industry.
Yes.
So welcome, Guido, and can you tell us a little bit more about the company? And today we're here with our Business Leaders series to learn more about you as a candidate for employment, how they can possibly become employed with a company like yours.
Okay, so good morning to everybody. What eConnect does is software technology. Basically, we have a unique product that gathers data with video, and the data has analytics. So, for instance, the particular case is you go to a Starbucks and you buy your morning coffee and you pay in cash. You know, we always find that people that pay cash are always the people that are putting collusion to the employee in a way that when you are buying the coffee, it could be a cream and cheese that is 45 cents versus the $6 coffee. So the video doesn't lie, so we see a video of a coffee and the video of a $5 or $6 cash, and then you see a transaction of a cream and cheese, so right there you see a collusion, right? So when you see in an 8-hour shift and you have maybe 10, 20, 30 collusions, then you are stealing probably about the daily wage. So even if you add that among all the employees that is food and beverage places have, then you have a lot of money right there. So that's what eConnect does in a niche on the food and beverage. We also do gaming devices. We basically have product that gathers all the data from the devices in the gaming floor, and we just do analytics with the devices. You know, we basically give to the casino operations people the data in the way they want it to have. You know, we basically have the data analytics that gathers all the data in the way they want to have it. You know, losses, hands per table, you name it. All that data comes in our, gaming analytics.
So all of the data and all of the information that you're collecting, it's going to rely upon a very sophisticated employee. And we were talking a little bit before this session here about what kind of preparation an employee, or the kinds of employees you were talking about, sales, and you were talking about technology. Can you give us a little bit about the students that are out there and the individuals that are out there watching us today? What kind of things are you looking for preparation for that employee? What would you like to see when they come to the table and work for you?
Okay, so in our industry, we basically are always looking for developers, and we need the people that have the potential in learning, the people that are always willing to go the extra mile. You know, it's very important that, because we are a very small company with big clients, and our clients are very, very pushy in their demands, and our deadlines are really tight. So that means that you really have to be very much dedicated to a project. You know, we just don't go and say, well, we work 40 hours a week. When you have a project, they give you a deadline, and the deadline is the deadline. And our CIO is very much into deadlines, and if he has you working for him, he'll probably ask you to work the extra hours to get to the deadline. So asking the question is the willingness to work, the the candidate has to also work in a team environment, willing to learn. You know, most likely about everybody leaves the school and says, well, I know it. And then that's kind of like, it's not a practice, it's just theoretical. When you get to work, when you have your hands dirty, then that's when you're going to learn the experience. So that's it.
So I'd like to remind our audience that in the comment section on the Facebook Live, please type in your questions. Mr. Arias will be able to answer those questions with us here live. So as you're following along, please type in your questions. So another question that I have for you is, how can a candidate stand out? I think you said something in there that I was reading into about working the extra mile, but when they're coming to the table and looking to apply for a position in your company, how could they stand out for you? What might they say, or what might they prove or show as an artifact that they've done in the past?
Well, every position has a job description, so basically we describe what we're looking for. And I would probably say when the candidate goes to an interview, he needs to kind of know what the position is all about, and if he has any points to make that in fact I am good for that position because of these qualities that I have, that he has to say at that moment of time. If the candidate comes, he also has to have the experience, meaning that in fact, I have done A, B, C, D, and F of the description of the job that this party is looking for. Also, and I would say this is very important sometimes, is when you get to go to a job interview, you kind of gotta know what that company does about. You don't really gotta go and know 100%, at least you have to have an idea of what that company does. And nowadays it's very much common to Google that company and look about what that company does. Maybe in the past it was kind of hard, but nowadays it's very simple. Just Google the name and give you a description of what they do. So,
again, if you have any questions for Mr. Arias or myself, I'm here with Mr. Guido Arias from eConnect. It is a fraud and prevention for the hospitality and gaming industry, fraud and protection technology software that they use to help the hospitality and gaming industry. So I have a question. Is there a particular language that you look for? When you say developers, I'm of the mindset years ago, when you said developer, I'm thinking of a land developer. You're talking about a developer with the software and technology industry.
Yes.
But is there any sort of a language, programming language, that one would need to know, or that you use in particular here? Or is it something that you build upon the proprietary software that you have already?
Well, I know we are a Windows shop, so I always heard from my CTO that he's always looking for C++ developers. Of course, willing to learn other languages, because with technology, everything develops, so you don't just gotta be on that one, because maybe in the future it'll be another language that you might have to learn. Right. So for now, that's what it is. So I would say C++ for now.
So hello, Heather and Aaron. Heather and Aaron, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining us. If you have any questions, please type them in the comments section. But I have a question. You mentioned a couple, Mr. Arias, you had mentioned a couple of acronyms in there. Is the CTO and the CIO? So would that be the Chief Information Officer and the Chief Technology Officer?
Yes.
Are those here at the institution?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, great. So I want to draw you back to your years in high school, because we're doing this for our students. At the end of the year, we do mock interviews, as you well know.
Yeah.
Mr. Arias is a parent of Nevada State High School, and his daughter goes to the school now, and his son went years ago.
Yes.
And so my question for you is, if you had to put yourself back into the high school years, and you were to speak to yourself as a high schooler,
yes,
what kind of advice would you give yourself?
I gotta be honest, back in high school, I wasn't taking seriously high school. I was cruising high school. I just woke up when I was in my 1.5 year of undergraduate, when I said, God, I really gotta get better. And all of a sudden, I just got to be the first one where they couldn't believe that this guy that was a cruiser was #1. And in my particular case, just because I was #1, I was able to leave Ecuador because I got an internship working for a big for a CPA firm, which was Deloitte & Touche. Just because of being number one, they were giving internships to go to subsidiaries out of the country. I was able to navigate myself to be originally in Argentina, and then Puerto Rico, and then with time, my last gig with them was in Baltimore. So I would say, you know, like I always tell my kids, is like, hey, you don't have to be number one to be number one. I wasn't number one, I was like number last, and then all of a sudden, I took seriously school, and then I became number one, and that was my feedback, you know, for the kids.
So you would advise yourself years ago to come back and look and embrace the education that you received?
Yes, yes.
Okay. And did you find that as a rewarding experience as you go through your travels, in which I want to point out to those that are watching, I'm with Mr. Guido Arias from eConnect. He was talking to me beforehand. You had talked about doing some travels down to Mexico.
Yeah.
Now, your company is not just here in the United States.
No.
So describe to me a little bit about the travels that you have taken here with the company, and then possibly are the sales positions that you're talking about, do those require travel, or could they just be in-state here?
You know, I was telling you my specific case that I was the party kind of like selling the software in Latin America, so I was traveling a lot. You know, most likely when you are doing sales, you have to always have a face-to-face. Of course, you know, to get to the face-to-face, you have to have a solid hinge that in fact that the user is going to buy the product. Before you go and visit the client, you have to have some feedback to the fact that in fact this is going to transpire somehow in a sale. So going back to your question, you know, sometimes it's required to travel. You know, I guess that's a topic.
So we have a question from Heather. Thanks, Heather, for joining us this morning. A question for you from Heather at Nevada State High School. She wants to know the job expectations. Do you plan on changing the job expectations? And I'll read it to you. It says, are the job and knowledge requirements for the eConnect expected to change within the next year or a couple of years? Or do you anticipate those things staying the same over the next couple of years, the job requirements?
For you to grow, you always have to know more.
True.
Right? So if somebody comes and starts maybe in a very entry-level position, and if that person has the willingness to learn, you know, and if that person prepares for the growth, then most likely that job will entitle a change, most likely a promotion, most likely something else that that individual might want to do, you know. So I would say that. And then of course, you know, you have the situations where a person comes and performs well on that job and that person doesn't want to grow, then of course that will never change.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, Mr. Arias, any last comments that you might have for first-time employees? Just any kind of quick, this is what you need to do in order to come to an interview with eConnect.
Well, the first thing is you gotta prepare well in technology in our case. I'm not really savvy much about technology. I'm not a developer. I am a CPA by trade, but I would tell you, if you plan to become an engineer, most likely try to get your degree in that, get on the hands-on practice. Maybe with time, I could probably talk to you about some internships. If there's any party willing to do an internship, maybe, you know, we'll be able to help, you know. And again, more internships are hands-on. No more but hands-on, and but hands-on on very much big clients, you know. Things that you won't really learn on the books, you might be able to learn, you know, doing all of this.
So again, so how can our students connect with you Is there an email, or is there a LinkedIn account that you might have? Or perhaps we could list something afterwards that you could give to us.
Yeah, I'll give you afterwards. I am on LinkedIn. They can always go to my profile, Guido, Arias, Las Vegas there. I have over 2,500 people there that follow me. So I'm very much connected in the community. I always know people. If I don't know people, my personality tells me to go and shake hands and become friends with whoever. So, I'm kind of known here in the community. So.
And you are. And I'd like to shake your hand and say thank you very much.
Thank you,
I appreciate
John,
all of your time today. Mr. Guido Arias with eConnect, and I'm John Hawk, the Chief Operations Officer for Nevada State High School, and Mr. Arias was helping us out today with our Business Leaders series for HawkTALK. So thank you for watching, and have a great day.